What up, y'all? It's your man, Abuamerican. I am back. I had time to think about this. It didn't take long. And I'm going to have to say, by far and large, I have to disagree with Rivellino. But there is a slight agreement, and I'll explain why. This is the whole lean-in topic. This is part 2. Okay, here we go. If we look at human interaction between, intergender, male and female interactions from a pure black and white perspective, leaning in equals needy, insecure behavior, then yes, he's absolutely correct. If we're analyzing photos individually from that simple black and white perspective, he's absolutely correct. But we know that human interactions are not black and white. They're far from black and white. And so what we have to do is we have to look at every interaction contextually. And that means every relationship is going to be different. That means every photo between every individual is going to be different. Now, I used to live in London, and it's a tourism city. And so when you think about it, not when you think about it, but people used to come there all the time with their couples, and they're taking their girls out and whatever else, and they're traveling around with their women and their wives and their fiancés and whatever else, and their newlyweds. And you would see people who have been together for a long time, and we know we're in Instagram generation, document everything with a phone, like I'm doing right now. And there are people who just have their routine set up. They get in front of a monument, they take their photos, and then they go right back to their normal lives. You can't even tell by that how their interaction is individualistically between them. Because the guy, again, will lean in because he's usually taller than the woman just to take the photo with her. But that doesn't really mean much. You can't really tell much about the interaction, simply based off of them taking a single photo, or 100 photos for that matter. The guy might just lean in out of habit for photos, and that's how they take their photos because they look cute together. Some people, they put on goofy faces on their photos, and then when you talk to them, they're absolute gangsters and G's. But I know a guy, he's a cold-blooded killer. I know him personally. I know a personal cold-blooded killer. And you look at his photos, you think the guy, you'd be like, this is this goofy dude. And let me tell you something, when you meet him face to face, that guy, there's no question in your mind. If you've been around a person who's killed people, you'll know for a fact this is not a guy you want to anger. So you can't really tell anything because everything is contextual. So you need to actually know the people, their interactions, how they interact with one another in a relationship before you can actually make that sort of judgment. You can't do it from pictures. You can't do it from 10 pictures of the same couple. There has to be a specific context to each group of individuals, meaning each people in, each person in those relationships. So I have to disagree. Now, if we're looking at it, like I said, from a black and white perspective, this equals that. Leaning in equals insecure, needy, chasing physical contact with a woman. Okay, fine. But how many guys have we seen, they put on an alpha frame, and then when you really talk to them or you really see how they interact with their woman, they're like they're like, they're just absolute beta, loser, insecure weaklings. I see them all the time. Well, not anymore because of Rona, but at the gym, heavy lifters, strong looking guys. His girl comes over and he's like a puppy dog. But when he's talking to you, he's all eye contact. Yeah, man, and I was like, row, and I got on my bike and I was speeding down the Audubon, and he's like, oh, wow. And his girl comes over, he's like, yeah. You can't tell these things unless you know the individuals specifically, you know their case and their story specifically. So I'm gonna have to disagree with them and say, by photos, not by photos, you can't tell, anything about a relationship with people. Nothing at all. Some people, yeah, you just can't, man. There's no way. People put on like happy faces for relationships, and they have the worst relationship that you could ever come across. Relationships you wouldn't wish on your enemies. But if you look at them online, they look absolutely happy. And you see people who look miserable, but they're absolutely happy. So, it's the same thing. And we know this is a fact. So it's the same thing with this. You can't really tell that type of stuff, by a photo. And I just want to say, guys, this is not stuff that you should really be focusing on when you're interacting with a woman, because like I said, you're gonna have a very robotic and a very stiff and a very forced interaction with a woman, and that's not gonna go well. If you're really trying to build attraction or maintain desire and attraction with a woman, if you've been in a relationship for a while, dude, it's not gonna go well. Yeah. That stuff, it's going to be forced, it's going to be artificial. The interaction is going to be artificial, and she's going to smell that all over you because it's not congruent, because it's not part of who you are. You know, you're going to be thinking about a photo. Oh, wait. You know, yeah, I wouldn't focus on this type of stuff, guys. If you're really worried about game and whatnot, this is probably not an aspect you really need to think about or worry about early on. That's my take.